Work sites can vary greatly in size, age, environmental conditions, equipment, types of processes and procedures performed, and more. The one thing they all have in common: an accident-free work environment if each individual takes responsibility for safety. Safety is a process that requires continuous improvement. As a new employee, you will be learning new job functions and procedures. Safety must be a part of every task you perform. The manufacturing and production process is complex, involving the use of stationary and moving equipment, multiple sources of energy, chemicals which have been classified as hazardous, and more. Your organization and its management are committed to a safe and healthy work environment. Engineering controls and safe work procedures have been established to prevent your exposure to injury and illness, but it also requires a complete commitment by you. Safety is an individual responsibility. It is also a condition of your employment. Just as important as the productivity and quality of the product and service we provide is producing it in a safe manner. You are joining a team of professional coworkers. Winning teams require individual responsibility. Our goal is an accident-free work environment. It is your responsibility to perform all tasks and job functions in a safe manner following established safe work procedures. It is your responsibility to recognize and report all unsafe conditions and actions to your supervisor. It is your responsibility to perform only the tasks you have been properly trained for. It is your responsibility to ask your supervisor if you have questions concerning the proper method of performing an assigned task. It is our responsibility to provide you a safe environment, instruction, and training on how to safely perform the specific tasks your job function requires. However, as a new employee, there are some overall general responsibilities and potential hazards you need to be aware of to begin. These include hazard identification and warning signs, chemical hazard communication, process equipment and machine guarding, lockout-tagout procedures, vehicle safety, housekeeping, emergency situations and equipment, and reporting requirements. As you move throughout the plant, you will notice a number of signs and placards. These signs communicate a variety of information. Some provide valuable information, such as the location of emergency equipment, exits, and evacuation routes. Others identify potential hazards, describe specific required action, provide warning, serve as reminders, convey handling and usage requirements, and more. The signs are posted to provide valuable information. It is your responsibility to understand and use the information provided. If you have questions, ask your supervisor. There are over 65,000 chemicals that have been classified as hazardous by federal regulatory agencies. These include inks, solvents, adhesives, boiler and water treatments, chemicals, as well as oil and lubricants. Any material can be hazardous if misused or abused. When chemicals are handled, stored, and used properly, the hazards are controlled. The two primary means of communicating the chemicals' hazards are container labels and the material safety data sheets, also known as MSDSs. The container label uses words, symbols, numbers, and colors to quickly communicate information concerning the chemical's health hazards, handling and storage requirements, and any special precautions. The material safety data sheet provides more detailed information on the chemical than the container label. The MSDS is divided into 8 sections which provide the chemical's components and permissible exposure levels, routes of entry, emergency and first aid procedures, physical data, recommended personal protective equipment, and more. Your site maintains a material safety data sheet for each hazardous chemical it uses. If your job function requires you to work with or near hazardous chemicals, you will receive additional training. Some job functions may require the use of various types of personal protective equipment. In areas of high noise, the use of hearing protection is mandatory and will significantly reduce your risk of hearing loss. In the handling of hazardous materials, the use of eye, face, body, or glove protection may be required. Some tasks may require the use of respiratory protection. Foot protection in the form of boots or safety shoes may also be required. When personal protective equipment is required, you will be provided the appropriate PPE and respective training. As mentioned earlier, complex and state-of-the-art equipment is used in the manufacturing and production process. Never operate equipment unless you are trained and authorized to do so. Even if you are not operating it, working around equipment requires your full concentration. Equipment with moving parts can create potential hazards if proper guarding and work procedures are not followed. These include in-running nips, rotating shafts, chains, sprockets, and moving belts. Whenever possible, guards have been used to protect against accidental contact. These guards must always be in place when the equipment is operating. If you notice guards missing, report it to your supervisor. In addition to physical guards, maintaining a safe distance is the best form of machine guarding. To ensure the efficient operation of equipment, it may be necessary to shut it down at times for routine maintenance or repairs. When equipment is shut down, locks and tags are used to prevent the machine from being operated and the accidental release of stored energy. Because of the size of a lot of the equipment used, the people performing the maintenance or repair work may not be visible. Locks and tags are used to isolate energy, such as electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, or thermal from the equipment and controls. Never attempt to start or operate a piece of equipment with a lock or tag on it. If you have questions or find a tag on the floor near a piece of equipment, report it to your supervisor immediately. In addition to machinery, a large number of vehicles are used in the production and transfer of products throughout the plant. These can include trucks, cranes, forklifts, maintenance carts, and manual and automatically controlled transfer carts. It is important to be aware of their position at all times when walking through the plant. Use pedestrian walkways when provided. Check both ways and use convex mirrors when possible before stepping out from blind corners, aisleways, or between equipment. A forklift traveling at 10 miles per hour can take up to 22 feet to come to a complete stop. Never operate a crane or vehicle unless you are trained and authorized. Good housekeeping is an essential element in creating a safe and accident-free work environment. Poor housekeeping can hide defects, block equipment, aisleways and exits, and create fire hazards and trip hazards. Keep your work area clean and in proper order. Put tools and other materials back in their proper place when you are finished with them. Dispose of waste in the proper container. Clean up any non-hazardous liquid substances on floors and walkways. Good housekeeping is 100% in your control. Notify your supervisor immediately of any spilled hazardous substances. Without putting yourself at risk of exposure, try to identify the substance from the container label on the source of the spill. Do not attempt to clean up the substance unless you are trained and authorized. Familiarize yourself with the location of emergency equipment in the area you work, such as eye wash stations, safety showers, fire alarms, extinguishers, emergency exits, and evacuation routes. Once again, do not attempt to assist in an emergency unless you are trained and authorized. It is your responsibility to report all injuries and work-related illnesses to your supervisor, regardless of how minor they may seem. This not only ensures you receive proper treatment, it enables your plant management to identify potential unsafe conditions or procedures that need to be corrected. In addition to reporting all injuries and illnesses, you should notify your supervisor of any unsafe conditions you become aware of. It is your responsibility to report it so it can be corrected before an accident occurs. An accident-free work environment requires a professional attitude. Inappropriate comments, language, or suggestions will not be tolerated. Actions which can create a hostile work atmosphere, comments of ethnic or sexual nature, may lead to immediate dismissal. Additional prohibited activities include the use of alcohol and other controlled substances that may alter your performance at work. Bringing firearms, ammunition, and incendiary devices on company property is strictly prohibited. Safety is a continuous process that requires a total commitment by you. Safety is an individual responsibility that must be incorporated in every job function you perform. Your plant provides the engineering controls, equipment, tools, and training to perform your job safely. It is your responsibility to understand and respect the potential hazards, use the proper equipment, and follow the established safe work procedures. It is a condition of your employment. Our goal is an accident-free work environment. It will happen if you and your team members take ownership and responsibility for safety at your plant. It's your responsibility.